If social media posting is overwhelming for you and you just want to figure out an easy method to posting things that support your brand and get you new clients, make sure you stick with me. We're going to simplify it for you. If you're all about simplifying your business, leveraging activities, get time back in your life, and possibly making more money, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any videos. And if this is our first time meeting, my name's Alisia Krastel. Let's go. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create content off of your existing brand and the kind of clients you want to get, and also help you convert existing content that you already have into new pieces of content. And if you look hard at my content, you might even be able to notice where I've replicated content, but it feels completely different, so it doesn't look like the same post. I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's start with creating content around your brand and your ideal client. And if you didn't already watch a previous video, you can go through that and figure out exactly how to formulate the words and beliefs around your branding to help you bring it to life. And if you don't think you have a brand, I promise you, you are a living, breathing brand right the second you make people feel some sort of way about you. So work with however you want your clients to feel. We'll work off of those words and how you want them to feel. Here's the branding sheet that I use, and I'm going to link the template to this below, and you can feel free to use it. And on here, I use 5 sentences, the I believe sentences about my brand, and 7 words that represent my brand, my ideal client, myself. And how we're going to back into the branding and find ideal clients is to create content around what's most important to our brand. So we're going to take one of those words and look like there's loyal, resolute, genuine, grateful, forthcoming. I'm going to take the resolute one, like just determined. They're determined people, and create content around something determined. And how we're going to do that is I'm going to think back, when was the last experience that I had, or an experience that I had when I was resolute, or I had a client that was resolute and determined to get something. Notice you don't have to pick it out of thin air. You're not trying to create this in your imagination. You're going back to an experience you actually had. So I had one where I was the listing agent and we had some documentation. It was a small town, and I went from everywhere to the last listing agent. The last time it was sold, I went to town hall and I posted about that. I posted a picture of me at town hall and saying, sometimes being a real estate agent lands you in town hall. We've had to track out some paper and I've spent a couple of hours here. Do you see how that shows other sellers in the market that I'm going to do anything to get your house sold? I'm going to put in all of the extra work, because you know how a lot of people like to say, oh, well, what do agents do? What do they do special? Well, this is one thing special that you're not going to see a lot of agents doing. You don't need to say every word of that to give off the feeling that you are a top-notch, you will do anything to help this client. We created that directly from my brand, so we're going to get people who appreciate that as well. This could have been anything from a picture. I could have done a video. I could have done a TikTok. Could have made an Instagram post with a long form type, but this was just a picture and a caption. If we leave my brand sheet and look at some of my clients, a lot of my clients have educated or expertise in for one of their words or something they believe. So if you're going to do expertise, an easy post might be, think of a time when your expertise came into play, when the education came into play, or how you educated a client came into play. You don't, again, have to make this up. This is something that happened, so it should be a lot easier for you. And think, I have that experience picture in my head, and now I can go and relay that to social media, which can look like this. If we're talking about, let's say, as is and inspections. And I know every state's different, so this is just an example, and I'm in Maryland just for reference. Doing a video, a post, a snippet about how as is might not always be the better option for a seller. That having the property inspection notice can lock a buyer in more, because it makes sure it gives the seller a chance to repair anything wrong, that they just can't roll out of a contract for any reason. That's targeting specifically sellers. Will it help buyers as well? Of course, they'll hear your content. We're targeting sellers just so I can show you how to tweak content between buyers and sellers. If you wanted to switch that and make it buyer content and attract buyers, then you talk about it on the buyer side. You say, why is as is inspection maybe better for them than the property inspection notice? Another tip to make this really powerful is that you can think of one individual person who had a question about something and you're answering that specific person. So no longer are you talking to Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or the phone, you're talking to Jennifer, who you just talked about this with 3 weeks ago, and you're answering that just like you answered Jennifer, so it becomes a lot more natural. So much easier to talk to one person who you actually know than to a whole audience. Secret is, this is exactly how I make almost all of my content. I think about one client, one coaching client, one real estate client that I've worked with, and that I'm answering them. This is for them. I've created the whole video for someone who asked me to create how to create social media content easier. If you're going to use one of your statements, your I believe statements from your brand, for instance, one of mine is, I believe in the law of reciprocity, where when you give, you get. I'm recalling a time in negotiation where I represented the buyer, and the buyer went the distance to show the sellers that they wanted this house and that they were doing the right thing and not trying to get a hot deal. During inspections, the seller was really reasonable and gave back at that time too, because when you are reasonable, the next person is reasonable too, in most cases. So you can talk about that story on Instagram, saying how amazing it is when a buyer and a seller work together and it becomes a win-win, and that nobody has to lose when it's a win-win. Everybody can still get what they want without losing. Now I'm going to show you how to create new content from the content you already have existing, so it's a lot simpler. You're looking at my Facebook page here, and we're going to scroll down and just look for something that makes sense that I could go back and make it into a new piece of content. And we could do this on your pages all day, Instagram, Facebook, and make things into new content. Okay, I have one here that's talking about the last, a little bit ago, I did a summary of what it was like in the last 4 to 5 months to close like just under 6 million and what I had noticed. And I put some bullet points in there. I could go in and take each of these bullet points and make it its own piece of content. So look at it from this standpoint. We could make it into polls or questions. So I could take this, how many properties did I have where buyers waived inspections? My buyers waived inspections, and you could have multiple choice, 0, 1, 4, 6. You could have it as true or false. None of my buyers during the last 6 months have waived any inspections, and have your audience answer it. You can do it in a bullet point format like this and put it in stories in Instagram or Facebook posts like I have. You can do a video about like the top 5 things that I noticed in the market in the last 5 to 6 months. I talk about the post-occupancy agreements that are here in the last 6 months because they're becoming more popular where I am. It could be a poll, a question, a multiple choice. It could be a post about the percentage and you having the big number 45. For me, it was 45%. Having 45 up there, and then you asking the question, what does this represent? The percentage of post-occupancy agreements, the percentage of waived inspections, the percentage of multiple offers. So you can play around with this where it becomes very different content and feels different, even though it's the same. You can even post a question that says, would you ever waive an inspection? Do you think it's smart or not? Another one that could be pulled right out of this piece, and you can use any of these ideas for yourself, is about the contingent offers. Getting a buyer's offer accepted on a listing with their house still being contingent to sale, and lining those two up. That is a little bit of magic, as you know, as an agent, and to be able to portray that on social media will get a lot of the people who are wondering, oh man, can I pull this off? Can I not pull this off? And you're sitting there saying, I've pulled it off multiple times and this is how we did it. Do you see how that can pull someone's attention who's just like a drive-by on your social media, or a friend of a friend who goes to check you out and says, oh, this is exactly what we're worried about right now, and she's posted that she's handling it like a champ. I wanted to give you an example of how you could turn just something simple into a bigger piece of content too. You'll see this is my Instagram, which I'm not as beefy on Instagram as I am on TikTok and YouTube, because TikTok and YouTube are my pillar content. This photo was quite some time ago, is of my daughter in a model home that we went to look at. So there I just took a photo where I could talk about the model home. I could talk about the community of the model, what the prices are, which I did do on my Facebook, but this is Instagram. And then I have a photo that's more like inside me, the connection piece of social media, that says my daughter fell in love with this room in the model home, which she absolutely did. What we're doing beautifully here when we use your brand and bring it in, and then use your personality and like who you are and bring it in, is that we're showing people evidence of success. You are an amazing realtor. You know what you're talking about. and then you have the connection piece. And when you put those two together, you're unstoppable. This here is actually another picture from that model home that I used. You could see a little bit later in my Instagram. No one needs to know that this model home is the same as that model home. Not everyone wants to do video, but if you do, I can pretty much guarantee almost any post you have on your social media, we can turn it into a quick or a long form video. And if you want to challenge me to that, put a comment below and ask me to go check out your social media, and I will help you find additional pieces of content out of what you've already created. The third way I want to show you how to create content without it being difficult is to invite people into your process of doing whatever you're doing. If you are going between model homes and you're helping a client pick one, take people along that ride of those 3 model homes and ask them which they like better. You don't need to disclose any information about your client, but you're showing them and taking them on a journey with you. Also, if you're looking for your branding and you're trying to figure it out, or you're looking for what your brand stands for, ask your sphere, ask your audience on social media, pose that question. What 3 words do you think of when you think of me? I'm working on my branding. I would love some help. I have 3 versions of this logo. What do you guys think? Let them vote. That's exactly what I did for this, and that's exactly what I did for the Mother Hustler logo. I put it out there and brought the audience along on the process. It gets people to buy in. When they're giving you information and feedback and on the journey with you, they're like bought into your story. That includes asking about if you're going to do client events, polling the audience and saying, which would you rather do, this, or this, and then giving them an option to fill in their own. It, 1, puts out that evidence of success that you're a successful realtor that can even have client events, and B, it's giving you that connection again. You'll see some templates below that you can use for some of your content that you could just plug and play. Use them, but make it look like your brand. Put it in your own personality. And if you want help figuring out exactly what to post, and you want just give me the calendar and tell me, you can check it out on the social media video here. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any videos with me helping you build your business, and share it with anyone you know that struggles with social media. See you next time.